magnificent. Wonder what's just around the bend. Good morning. It's Tim and Tammy time, and today I'm headed out again without Tim, but I'm going to go and I'm going to look for an adventure, tell a few stories, talk a little bit. We're mostly going to go over to Pine Mountain. We're going to take the drive. There'll be a couple of stops along the way. We might stop in Hamilton. We might stop at the top of the mountain and see the beautiful view, and then we'll go over into Pine Mountain, and maybe we'll even hit Callaway for a minute. But I got a lot on my mind, and I just need to drive. You ever just needed to drive? Please like, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we love y'all. All right, so I said I got a lot on my mind. I woke up this morning and I was sitting on the couch and I'm thinking and I'm praying, and it's like I've been on the mountaintop for quite a few days, and then all of a sudden it's just like the whole world shifted and I feel like I'm down in the valley. And I feel just a little bit down, and I don't know why. So when I come to a place like this, I generally think something is about to happen. That does not mean something bad's about to happen. It just means that something's about to change. Whether it's going to be good or not, I don't know. It's just that I feel, I don't know. I can't really explain to you how I feel. But just 3 days ago, I was on the mountaintop. I dream at night a lot. I have a lot of dreams, and I generally kind of try to figure out what my dreams mean, and I don't really know exactly how to do that. I just kind of go by the feelings that I have. And the other night I had a dream, and it disturbed me. And when I woke up, I kept thinking about the dream, and it disturbed me. It bothered me. In the dream, I was in the old house that I lived in with my family, my children, and my first husband before he died. And I was there with him, and he never talks in my dreams. Dead people don't talk in my dreams. But he was there with me that day. Anyway, in the dream, he was there. My oldest daughter was there, and my grandchildren were there. And I was telling my husband that was not our house anymore, and we had to leave, because that's not my house anymore. I have to leave, and I really feel like that. I've always felt like that represents me being trapped just a little bit in my past, and I'm struggling to let a lot of stuff go. And a lot of people are. Look at the color in the middle of this road. Wow, I have not seen that color yet, y'all. Here, I haven't seen it here. Anyway, I feel like that house represents my past and things that I have to figure out. I have to let go of. And I ask God all the time to help me let go of the anger and the hurt. I'm not going to get into all that. But anyway, I stepped out on the porch after I told him we had to leave, that it wasn't our house anymore and we didn't have a right to still be there, and we had to leave. And then he's not in the dream anymore. And even though my oldest daughter was there, I can't put her in the dream. I can only tell you that she was there. I know she was. So I walk out onto the front porch, and I look to the right of the driveway, and there are two, I'm going to call them mud puddles, but they were more like ponds, but they were muddy. And one probably had a circumference of about 6 to 8 feet. But the other one was like 3 times as big. It was huge. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, I wonder what those mud puddles are here for. I'd never seen mud puddles there before. So I'm looking for my children, my grandchildren, and I look up, and my grandson, his head pops up out of the water in the smaller mud puddle, which lets me know it's very deep. And I immediately say, "Where's your sister?" And he looks over to the other mud puddle as he goes back under the water. She's floating face down, and I think that she's dead. But then she rolls over, and I realize that she's not dead. And then I'm standing on the porch filled with indecision, trying to decide who I had to save first. Because, I felt like I had to take care of everything. So, and I woke up. And that was my dream. The dream disturbed me. My dreams disturbed me a lot. But I began to pray that the Lord would reveal to me what that dream meant. And then after I got through praying, excuse me, I tried to put it out of my mind, and I got my headset, my telephone and my headset, and I went out to walk. I go out and walk every morning. I went out to walk, and I've been listening to a podcast called Pearls by Christy McClellan, and at the same time I'm reading a book about feasting on God's Word, and I noticed that the book was kind of going along with the podcast a little bit. So I listened to the first episode, and then I skipped the second one because that day I had read the third chapter, and the third chapter's title coincided with the title of the third podcast. So I decided I would listen to that podcast. I'd go back and pick up that day I listened to number 3. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get off track. I listened to the third podcast, and then I kept going forward, 4, 5, and 6. Well, this morning after I'd had the dream and I'd prayed for God to reveal what it meant to me, I decided to go back and pick up that second podcast. And it was about the chaos of the water and chaos, and how water represents chaos a lot in the Bible, and it does. You go to, and it's in the first 2 verses of the first chapter, it's talking about God's Spirit hovering over the water, and it was chaos. There was chaos. So even where there's chaos, you see Jesus. And then you go on forward, and there's several places, of course, the parting of the Red Sea, that was chaos. The Israelites walked through on dry ground, but there was chaos all around them. And then you could continue on, and you get into the Gospels. Well, Noah that was chaos too. But you continue on, and you get into the Gospels, and you see in Mark where the disciples and Jesus are in a boat, and they go out on the sea, and Jesus is in the stern, which means he's back there where he's supposed to be guiding the ship. He's where the rudder, I guess I'm saying that right. So he's back there, and he's gone to sleep. So he's not worried about the storm. But the storm comes up, and the disciples go down, and they say, "Carest not that we perish?" And Jesus goes up, and he rebukes the wind, and he says, "Peace, be still." And the water, not the ocean, the water becomes as glass, and everything's calmed. And at first the disciples were afraid of the storm, but then they were afraid of Jesus, because what kind of man is this that even the wind and the waves obey his will? I do love that scripture, peace, be still. So I'm listening to that, and I'm thinking about the chaos, and I'm thinking about the chaos. That's what the water is. My babies, my grandchildren are in chaos. Well, they're 10 and 12. In this world, if you were 10 or 12, can you imagine growing up in the world today? It's not the world we grew up in, but there's chaos. There's always been chaos. I'm not saying that there wasn't chaos before. I'm just saying that there's a lot of chaos, and in my dream, my grandchildren were in the chaos, and I couldn't figure out how to save them. So while I'm listening to the podcast, there it is, peace, be still. I don't have to save them. Jesus is going to take care of them. He's going to take care of me, and he's going to take care of them. It's not in my power, but it's in his. And I can be calm because it's not about me and what I need to do. And I know this sounds like I'm taking you through a Bible study, and maybe I am. I don't know. If you don't like it, turn it off and go to something else. I'm sure there'll be a different story at some point. I may not even put that in there because I may think it's too personal and private for me. But maybe it's not. And maybe somebody else needs to hear it because they feel like their children, and I'm counting my grandchildren as my children, are in chaos. Or they feel like themselves are in chaos. But Jesus is always there when the storm, he's there, and he's in the midst of it. And all he has to say is, peace, be still. Now, something pretty interesting, me and Tim were talking, this has been years ago possibly, a long time ago, and we were talking about Satan being the prince of the power of the air. And Tim said, what if Satan controls the weather? Because we talk about it all the time. The tornadoes, we have some terrible weather down here in the Southeast. There's terrible weather everywhere, but tornadoes are pretty bad in my opinion. And we've talked about it, and he said, what if Satan controls the weather? Well, Jesus came out and he rebuked the wind, and he calmed the sea. So you just have to relax and say, Jesus, God is in control. And even though we're going to worry, we're going to have fears, we're not supposed to. We're supposed to have enough faith that we can overcome that. And sometimes, y'all, I do, and I guess that's what I mean about the mountaintop. When I was on the mountaintop a few days ago, I had faith that everything was going to be great. Everything was going to work out, and everything was going to be perfect. And then here it is just a couple of days later, and I have fallen into the valley, and I'm not so sure. And I don't like being here. I'd rather be lifted up. But this morning, I got up and told Tim I was going. I told him I was going somewhere that I'm not going. I decided not to go there. But I told him I was going somewhere, headed up 280 in Alabama. And he said, well, okay, be careful. But I decided not to go there. I decided to go this way because I decided I would rather go this way. And I don't know if y'all are enjoying what I'm talking about or not. I'm really using you as a sounding board. I'm getting my feelings out. In fact, I'm feeling just a little bit better since I started talking to you. So maybe that's a good thing. I know it is a gray, dreary, magnificently beautiful day out there. It is foggy. We're supposed to clear up this afternoon. We may have some rain sometime in the morning and early afternoon, but it's supposed to clear up this afternoon. And I'm looking forward to that. Y'all, it is 70 degrees at 10 minutes till 10. I think today's October the 8th. It is Saturday. I'm right, it's October the 8th because Alabama and LSU play tonight. It's October the 8th, y'all. And yes, I know, because Alabama and LSU play tonight, and that's the only reason I know what the date is. And I will probably sleep through that game because I don't stay up late. But I will watch Auburn Vandy this afternoon. I'm looking forward to that one. I have a feeling I know how that's going to work out, but hey, I could be wrong. Generally, though, this time of day, I would be at home and I would be watching game day. But something this morning, I don't know. Maybe it was just wanting to get out here and talk because, like I said, I am starting to feel better. Now, Tim is going to be off on Monday, and we're planning, y'all. We're planning. Doesn't mean we're going to make it, but we're planning. We're planning to go toward Fort Valley because we've never filmed in Fort Valley. There's a couple other places. We might come back around in a loop and come through Americas because we hadn't been there in 5 years. But we'll see how that works out. But y'all will see those videos later on. But we will be back together. We will be going back to the small towns. All right. We're entering Hamilton city limits. Welcome to Hamilton, the heart of Harris County. I got the camera pointed to the right because I know I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go around this square. And when I go around the square, instead of showing you, up on that hill up there was the Hamilton Female College. Over to your right. When I go around the square, I want it to show what's around the square rather than the park in the middle. There's a park in the middle, and then I'll go around the square on the outside and show you a little bit, well, what Hamilton is. That's Hamilton Methodist Church on the right. There's an old hotel up here and this huge, beautiful house right here is the Subway. I think Subway is in there. And then this is the Hamilton House Inn, and I think it's just a magnificent little old looking motel. So we're just going to go, and I'm going to turn left and go around this, and then we'll come back around this way and come back out. Of course, right now might not be a good time to do that, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Evidently, we got some people preparing for a bike ride over here. I'm going to go through them real slow as to not worry any of them. Because there's a building down here that, well, I love all these buildings. Y'all know that. Just by looking, y'all know that, don't you? And there is a house at the end of the driveway in front of me. It is amazing. Okay, so I love this building right here. Yeah, that's the one. And then there are a couple old houses. I guess people still live in these houses. I would assume they do. There's an old church down there. I think it's got a new congregation in it. A different congregation than what it would have been in the past. And here's the post office, Hamilton, Georgia. And there's the First People's Bank. And then we're just going to go right back and pretty well do. Get right back on the same road we were on and head on down. We're going to pass the courthouse over here on the right. It's a big, magnificent, beautiful building too. That's it right there. While I'm sitting at the red light, I'll move this back over kind of to the middle. And now we're going to head on over to top of the mountain and see how it looks. I don't know what we'll be able to see in this beautiful picturesque point because it is very foggy up here. But Pine Mountain's 8 miles away, and we're not... What I'm talking about comes before we get to the town of Pine Mountain. But we are in the hills, y'all. Lots of ups and downs in front of us. In the hills and the valleys. It's funny, the things you think when you feel like you've been on the hills, the mountaintops, and now you're in the valley. I think I've come out of the valley a little bit, though. I see the raindrops coming. I hope they don't rain me out. I don't need to be out. I'm not going to be out for long, so just bear with me. Just stick around just a little ways. Now we are climbing in the mountain now. This is nice. I like this drive. I like this drive very much. State Park is 1/4 of a mile. Y'all, I think maybe it's getting a little misty and rainy because I'm going up the Blaine Mountain. Because I'm fixing to be at the pull-off. And hopefully, I'll get out for a minute. I don't know. If the rain's going to come any harder, I might just stay in the vehicle. Man, there's a lot of folks out here at the... That's because they come up here to eat breakfast on top of the mountain. This is the Man of War Trailhead parking. And you know, I want to hike the Man of War, but I don't know exactly. I think you go over behind the restaurant over there. I have never seen this many people here in this parking area. And I've been coming up here to the top of the mountain all of my life. Okay, I'm going to go on down here because really, I just want to get out and see what I can see because I'm not sure what we're going to see, but we'll go figure it out, won't we? Y'all, I got on a pair of shorts, and it's one of these silly pair they make for women that don't really have front pockets. They have very deep back pockets, but they don't have front pockets because women are supposed to carry a purse. I don't like to carry a purse. Ooh. Wow. Alright, let's go up here and see what all we can see. We could hope for a open view, but it's gonna. I'd love to see all the colors, but the colors are not that great up here. I see some yellows out there, but those bright reds I saw coming up the road, I don't see them. I wonder what happened to the fence over here, y'all. Look at that. Cars can't come over here. How'd that happen? There's a caution tape on the other side, though. That's a little unnerving, you know it? Wonder what's been going on over here at the top of the mountain. I can see the sun shining through way over there. And no, I'm not in the Smoky Mountains, but it kind of looks like it right now. Wow. Gonna wonder about that right there too. Wonder what's up with that. I love that little rock country store across there in the restaurant. The country store and kitchen. And I do love it. They got some good food in there. Yeah, you can see the clouds breaking just a little bit. Alright. Yeah, the view's not quite as good as it usually is because of the fog and the clouds, but y'all, I see the sun coming through. Look up there. That is magnificent. Yeah, that is beautiful. Well, I'm physically on a mountaintop now. Alright, let me get back in the vehicle, and let's continue on this wonderful adventure. I hope y'all don't mind hanging with me and just letting me talk. Love that tree. Look how big that tree is. Magnificent. Strong. Now there is a magnificent spider web out there, and I'm doing my best, but I don't know if I can fix it where y'all can see it. I'll have to look when I get home to try to figure it out. That spider is huge, and he's right in the middle of it. And it is glistening because it's got raindrops on it. That's cool. Man-o-War Trail. We're about to go under the Man-o-War Trail. And over here to the right, I've eaten at that Subway, I've eaten at that KFC, I've stopped at that store many, many times. But I'm not going to stop there today. That's called the Chipley Village, because I say this every time I come to Pine Mountain, but Pine Mountain used to be known as Chipley. They changed the name to Pine Mountain for the tourist element. They were trying to boost the tourism. And Pine Mountain has a lot of good barbecue joints, and I've eaten most all of them. And there's a motel over here called the White Columns Motel on the left. I always wanted to stay there too, but haven't done that yet. But like I said, eventually. Let me see if I can. I guess I should turn it that way again to kind of show the town. A lot of bikers over here riding on this trail that was a train track at one time. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to go through, and then I will come back up the other side. I'll try to show you this little town as best I can. I might get out, who knows. If I find a good place to park, hey, I might hop out and walk it. We've walked it before though. Down this way. Okay, I hope that'll give y'all a good shot. This road has got some bumps. They got some folks set up over here on the left-hand side selling. They got little tents in there. All right. And that is the United Methodist Church across the street where I'm turning right here. And then we'll see what this is when I get down here to it, because names on the front of it, I'm not sure. That's the First People's Bank, and that's a pretty nice looking bank. That's pretty neat looking. And there are murals. Okay, I love this little service station right here. And there's a mural over there on that wall. I don't know how good the camera's picking this up, but there's people walking across the street, and you have to stop when these folks come across the street. We've got sidewalks walkways. I love that purple building right there. I think that is so cool. Of course, I love all these little buildings. Y'all see the dinosaurs. It's Dino Village. Doesn't look open today. Never been there. There's Three Little Pigs barbecue. Been there. There's Chipley Chicken. I have not been there. That's relatively new in my opinion. Might not really be new, but it's newer. This is the one up here though that I really like. Okay. Crispy Fried Chicken Package Store. That's what the sign says. And there's a Whistling Pig Cafe, and I've ate there. So y'all, this has been my adventure today. Thanks for riding along with me. Please like, please subscribe, and we love y'all. I did that like Tama did it out of order. But I'm still up here in these beautiful mountains, in these beautiful woods. I'll take a shot of that road looking down through there. Y'all, ain't that beautiful? Magnificent. Wonder what's just around the bend.